Good morning, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to our live virtual town hall. Today is May 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
I am Tech Sergeant Quintanilla from the Eielson Public Affairs Office, and I'm back with the town hall team. We have Wing Commander Colonel Benjamin Bishop and Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Matthew Ramage from our 354th Medical Group, here to share the latest updates regarding COVID-19. Chief Master Sergeant Stephen Hansen, our interim Fighter Wing Command Chief, will also be joining us later, so stay tuned for that. Reminder, we'll be taking questions in the comment section throughout the show, so please let us know what is on your minds. So let's start with some medical updates. Dr. Ramage, where are we at now as a community regarding COVID-19?
Well, I am very pleased to announce that this is a relatively boring week as far as medical updates. Now, on a more serious note, there are 368 total cases for the state of Alaska. Local cases, there's just a couple popping up here and there, but by and large, because of the efforts of everybody out there listening and everybody out there that's not, we're keeping things very, very stable, and especially relative to the rest of the United States. So please keep it up, guys and gals. But as things are slowly opening back up and the leash is getting a little bit longer, remember, this is not a license to go willy-nilly. Continue to be vigilant, because with any laxity, that is the highest risk that we're going to be in a bad situation, which would ultimately affect our operational readiness.
All right. A doctor once told me that boring is good in the medical career field. So
yes, it is.
Yes. Doctor's orders, everyone, please continue to practice good social distancing and all of the practices that we've been keeping up until this point. It's definitely working. Colonel Bishop, what do you need us to know for this week?
Yes, first of all, good morning, and may the 4th be with you. Thanks for joining in. In terms of an update from the Wing Command position, and kind of the way I see it is, first and foremost, we remain in HPCon Charlie, mission essential reporting only, and all the social distancing, personal hygiene effects, all those are still in place. And the good news, like the doctor just said, it's working. So my assessment of, the risk of COVID, to our people and our families, to our mission and to our community remains low because of all the great work we're doing, participating in this fight against coronavirus. Kind of moving forward, I think everyone's aware that the state mandates have changed. They're loosening up, like the doctor said, and we have stood up a COVID recovery working group. It's a cross-functional team led by Mr. Martinson, who's one of our fantastic civilian leaders in the 354th Fighter Wing, and they have come up with a comprehensive plan as the risk continues to remain low. If it continues to remain low, then we're going to ease up our restrictions on base and start opening up services. So we actually have a 3-phase plan they've put together, and they look into what is part of these phases, bring it to the group commanders and group superintendents, and also to me and the command chief for evaluation. And I have approved the first phase of this plan, which is opening up some services on base. For example, the barbershop is now open. We're trying to get the beauty shop open as well. We just need some people to work in that beauty shop because there's a demand for those services across the community. And then also we're opening up the hobby shop by appointment, so you can swap out your snow tires. I believe it's 11 May when studded tires are no longer authorized on the roads of Alaska. So if you haven't done that, you have the opportunity to do that. And then also outdoor rec is open and ITT is open with limited equipment rental. And also we updated our leave policy and redefined the local area to be actually the entire state of Alaska. And really the intent behind that is, I know a lot of us feel cooped up. Some of you may be feeling a little bit of cabin fever. And really what we want to do is provide you the opportunity to go out and enjoy Alaska while maintaining that social distancing and kind of that isolated state. So if you want to go camp and get out with your family, then absolutely do that. The weather is beautiful. This weekend was gorgeous. I was outside with my family doing walks. And really enjoying the environment. So I encourage you to do that. However, just like the doctor said, just because the risk is low and we've done a good job combating COVID, now is not the time to regress in those behaviors because the second wave is coming. That was one of the things that we mentioned in the Wing Town Hall with our Vice Chief of Staff, General Wilson, is the Department of Defense leadership is talking about that second wave that comes with all pandemics. And the good news is we can actually control that second wave by our behavior. So we can turn that second wave not from a wave into a ripple as long as we adhere to the command guidance that we're issuing and that we continue to work as a whole community in getting after this threat. So again, I would sum it up. Great job helping us combat COVID because this is an adversary, this is an enemy, and we need to kind of take a war mindset. Everyone needs to participate and keep up that good work, and we're going to emerge from this crisis stronger and more resilient and going into it. The other big change is our new command chief. Chief Loken is on station. So he arrived on Saturday. I think he's joining us with us virtually from his quarantine state. So he is with us, and we're going to start doing the transition period while he's in that 14-day quarantine. But Chief Loken, again, on behalf of the entire Eielson community and 354th Fighter Wing, welcome to Alaska, and we're thrilled to have you on the team. So with that, that's all I had.
Yes, welcome Chief Logan to the Iceman team. It's quite a welcoming, I think. Everyone who's PCSing is feeling these kinds of pains, and but it's like Colonel Bishop said, we're going to emerge stronger, and we look forward to seeing you around the base. Before we go to a break, one of the things that I just wanted to harp on again is local leave policy. Like you said, Colonel Bishop, has been opened out to the entire state of Alaska, and being in Alaska, the largest state in the United States, is out there for us to enjoy. And now there are some base facilities and services opening up to help us do that. So please take advantage. In Alaska, we actually have, some of us are feeling literal cabin fever because there are a lot of cabins in the area, right? And and we don't want to do that. You know, we can alleviate that with the things that are available to us. So get out and enjoy Alaska and enjoy this time. So with that, we're going to go to our first break, and we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Throughout history, humankind has prevailed in our darkest moments, coming together to face the very thing that would extinguish our light. This is not one of those moments at all. This is a moment for pretty much the opposite. For hiding, for laying low. Napping is also good. Saving humankind by really, really not getting near it. Where playing games, staring at screens, staring at anything, all are the stuff of heroes. Every generation has its moment, where individual sacrifice makes way for the good of those who will come after. A higher purpose. This one is ours.
Everyone can do their part to slow the spread of COVID-19. Do work and school from home. If you're in a critical infrastructure industry like healthcare or public safety, keep your normal work schedule and follow CDC guidance. Avoid social gatherings of 10 or more people. Practice good hygiene. Use drive-through, pickup, or food and prescription delivery options. Avoid non-essential travel, shopping trips, and social visits. Don't visit nursing homes, group homes, or long-term care facilities unless you provide critical help. Follow the directions of your state, county, and city authorities. Together, we can stop the spread of COVID-19. Learn more at cdc.gov/COVID-19 and coronavirus.gov.
Attention all 354th Fighter Wing active duty airmen. The base commander has restricted all non-essential movement and directed mission essential reporting with an emphasis on teleworking. Eielson Air Force Base is currently in Health Protection Condition Charlie. View an up-to-date list of facility closures at eielsonforcesupport.com. Upon arrival to Hersey Gate, present your ID with the barcode exposed and ready for scanning. Do not depart until instructed to do so. For more information and to receive the latest updates about novel coronavirus 2019, visit eielson.af.mil/coronavirus.
And we're back. Again, I'm Tech Sergeant Kitney from the Eielson Public Affairs team. I'm talking with Colonel Bishop and Dr. Ramage here to share all the information that we need to know as a community about COVID-19. Just a reminder, command directives are publicly available on our Eielson webpage at www.eielson.af.mil/coronavirus. You're also encouraged to consult your chain of command if you have any questions about the guidance released. So now we're going to go into some questions. And this comes from Kayla Gibson, who's tuning in online. Sir, is there any time frame on the parks on base being opened back up?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's one question my kids keep asking me, is we have a brand new playground that's right next to our house that they're just pining to use. And currently at this time, the playgrounds on base are closed. But that is one of the things our recovery working group is looking at, is as we have this multi-phase approach, when can we open up the playgrounds, and then what guidance can we use in order to allow our children and our families to use these resources appropriately. Another big question is, when is the gym access going to be expanded to include all dependents, not just military members stationed at Eielson? That's another one of the areas that we're looking at as well. I will say one of the frameworks I use as the recommendations come to me is to open up a facility. What I need to have is just confidence that I can allow the community to use that resource, and also while they're using that resource, they still have very, very low risk of contracting coronavirus by doing that. So that's just kind of where in that phased approach where we're kind of studying going back into opening these services up. But what I'm looking for is information coming back from the community and recommendations from public health, because there's a big changes in the state, and we're seeing how those changes, and making sure that we don't have a situation or an environment where we have coronavirus that's being contracted in the community. So again, not a really definitive answer other than this is something that we're looking at, and I personally want to get there just as soon as we can. When these facilities do open up, just like Sergeant Q was mentioning, we will issue formal command directives that will go down to the squadron commanders, and then down to the supervisors, and then down to the members. If you have questions regarding those command directives, would like to get information, you can go again to our publicly accessible website for those command directives, but they're going to be released through the chain of command primarily. So if you have questions, that's really your best source is your supervisor. If you're a spouse, you can also reach out to the supervisor, or you can also reach out to your unit key spouse. They're another great source of information in order to get those questions answered. And then again, we're going to continue to host these town halls every Monday at 10 o'clock, and this is another resource to help field those questions as we go through this very fluid and dynamic environment.
Yes, please tell your friends about us so that they can learn all about COVID straight from the boss and from the doc here. Just pieces to pick out of that is that we are approaching this situation with our eyes wide open. We're learning from history. Colonel Bishop and the rest of our leaders here are making informed decisions with the recommendation of a lot of different players to make sure that the entire community is safe. So just let's all kind of just be patient and just remind ourselves that this is for our health and well-being, and there's no kind of ulterior motive to kind of keep us inside. No one wants that, certainly. Next question, Doc, and this comes from Gary Olson. I believe he works with us here. Will the med group be conducting the COVID-19 antibody test?
Antibody. And so in this context, antibody does not refer to Thor's physique in Endgame. This is really the body's memory in fighting off certain infections. So yes, I'm sure that all of you have seen on the news that there are some antibody tests, some blood tests that look at your body's experience of fighting off a coronavirus. Now, this particular test is very much in its infancy, and especially because of the pandemic nature of this coming online, there are some questions about cross-reactivity of other coronaviruses that we have experienced, kind of some of the normal colds that we've had, and cross-reactivity with the COVID-19. And so uncertain whether these tests are telling that somebody's had a COVID-19 infection versus another similar coronavirus infection. Right now, we also don't have good good timeline of when you see certain antibody spikes after infection with coronavirus. And so, yes, the tests are out there, but they're not to the point that they're ready for prime time to be used for clinical decision making or any major epidemiologic looks. They're really in their infancy, but more to follow. Short answer, we don't have them available to use at all in the local area, and two, we don't have a good rubric of how we would use that information yet.
Thanks for that, sir. Next question, Colonel Bishop, this is an operations question. Any word on the people currently deployed to Korea in the Middle East and when they can return?
So PCS season is upon us, right? And we're starting to get into that season. But as we all know, there's a Department of Defense stop movement order in place. That's been extended until 30 June. But what the service is doing, the Air Force is doing, our entire Department of Defense is how do we kind of navigate the PCS season and do so in a manner that doesn't put our force and our communities at risk for coronavirus, and then also doesn't saturate the move industry. And because if we overload the move industry, what typically happens is you don't get good quality moves, which I think we can all be sympathetic is not something that we want to endure as family members, service members. So the good news is our Air Force and Department of Defense leadership is concerned about that, and is really looking at a plan in order to kind of navigate these very, very unusual times and very unique times. Regarding those assignments in Korea, that's kind of the first tranche. So the 365 deployment and the short tours to Korea, those moves will actually start happening, and that process is ongoing. So that's kind of the first aspect. I will say, so if you got an assignment to Korea, just plan on that assignment going as planned. And if you have somebody in your shop that is going to Korea, expect them to go to Korea. You may actually not get a backfill before that person leaves, because that is kind of the first step that we're using. So that's a long way for me to say kind of stand by for more information that we will get from the higher headquarters, and we'll also communicate that down through the command channels and supervisors channels in order to help make sure we get those questions answered. But again, these are unprecedented times, but we're going to make prudent decisions as a service, as a wing, and then as units, and as squadrons, as flights and sections in order to navigate it appropriately.
Yeah, I have some friends who are looking at PCSing, and they're supposed to be coming up, and really the answer that I keep getting from them when they say, I don't know, is talk to MPF, maybe reach out to them. You have an assignments counselor, and they would certainly know what's going on, or they should have at least more guidance than we can provide here in this forum, especially curtailed to your specific circumstances. So use the facilities available and services available around. So next question, sir, is will the base eating establishments, specifically the DFAC, resume eat-in operations in a modified way anytime soon? Yeah,
that's something that we're looking at as well. That's part of that kind of phased plan with the COVID recovery working group is looking at. So again, they're looking at eating establishments, maybe opening up more opportunities to eat on base. For example, the bowling alley, opening that, and the Yukon Club. Those are all eating establishments they're looking at with their kind of menu of options, no pun intended, to kind of bring to leadership for recommendations. So again, that's kind of part of that phase plan. And when those eating establishments do open it up, again, we'll issue that command directive and get that information out. So kind of more to follow.
All right. Next question. Will delays in PT testing affect promotion? I know that according to one of the last directives, PT testing has been completely canceled until June of 2020. Mm-hmm. Do you know kind of how that's going to roll out here on the base? So that's something we're looking at as well. I don't have a command directive that I can issue right now in order to answer that question, but that is something that we are going to navigate and communicate to all our airmen. So the bottom line is, if you can't take your PT test right now, it's not going to impact your promotion. So what I do encourage you to do is, even though that we're practicing social distancing, continue to exercise, continue to work out, continue to maintain your health,
physically. So when you do take that PT test, you're adequately prepared. And the great news is, we, especially for active duty members and our military members stationed here at Eielson, you can go use the gym for that. You can do what I did this weekend is I went out for 2 runs. I actually brought my kids with me as well. So continue to exercise, maintain that good physical resiliency, but also maintain your mental resiliency, social resiliency, even though we're social distancing, connected, and then also spiritual resiliency as well. So it's one of the things I'm very passionate about, especially as we're combating coronavirus, that we maintain strong framework of personal and social health, because that's how we get after the mission and continue to crush it. So.
Another foot stomp on utilizing chain of command. Of course, command directives are a great source for sweeping guidance for the wing, but superintendents and PTLs or UFPMs, they might have something else maybe curtailed to your unit, not necessarily about PT testing, but just how, if you have specific questions about your own situation, they could potentially kind of craft that message to you on a personal basis. So with that, we're going to take a break, and we're going to say goodbye to Dr. Ramage for this time, and we're going to welcome in Chief Hansen. So please stay tuned.
Everyone has a role to play to reduce and slow the transmission of COVID-19. Social distancing is an essential step in preventing the spread of the virus. Practice social distancing by putting at least 6 feet between yourself and others. Also, continue to practice healthy habits to slow the spread of COVID-19. Learn more at cdc.gov/COVID-19 and coronavirus.gov.
With coronavirus spreading, people at higher risk must take extra precautions. You are at higher risk if you're over 65, or if you have an underlying medical condition like heart disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, or if your immune system is compromised for any reason. If you're at higher risk, stay 6 feet or 2 arm lengths away from others. Better yet, stay home if you can. The choices you make are critical. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
And we're back. If you're just joining us now, this is our live digital town hall. With us, we have Colonel Bishop and Chief Master Hansen, who's joined us for the segment, and they're ready for more questions. And we're going to kick it off with a question about visitor passes. Sir, from Miranda Michelle, will visitor passes be issued again if the governor lifts the 14-day quarantine order? My mother wishes to visit from out of the state this summer.
Okay, visitor passes are still turned off. I would not make any plans, concrete plans, based on what the governor may or may not do, because the governor will make state mandates, but I'm going to make decisions based on recommendations from public health from my leadership team. And those may be in line with the governor's, but maybe not. But I'm going to make my decisions based on the priorities of, keeping our airmen and families safe, safeguarding our mission, and then also supporting our community as a whole. So for planning purposes, I wouldn't buy any tickets for family members. As we do, navigate this multi-phase approach that may change in the future, and then when it does change, we'll publish the command directive appropriately. I will say, from a broad perspective, one of our biggest concerns, and one of my biggest concerns really, is travelers from outside the state, because we have done a really good job in the local community maintaining the risks of coronavirus are extremely low. But there's other areas of the world and in the states where there's higher concentration. So that travel is, to look at it from a kind of intelligence mission analysis perspective, that's kind of where that threat vector is. So that's just something we're considering. Those are some of the discussions that we have as wing leadership teams as we navigate this situation and make decisions moving forward. I go back to our priorities, again, safeguarding our airmen and their families, preserving our mission for the short term and long term, and then supporting our community as a whole.
All right, so sorry, Miranda, no change yet to the guidance, but of course, please stay tuned as things change and processes and guidelines change. You can all be you will all be informed accordingly, so you can start making those plans if allowed at that time. Second question is maybe this one for you, Chief. Any word on promotion testing and release dates?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on. So what I am seeing on promotion testing, I don't have a definitive date that testing is going to start back up, but I can tell you that the discussions are going on behind the scenes. Right now, AFPC is kind of looking at some COAs to potentially get promotion testing at least as an option here soon. And then with, of course, Colonel Bishop's approval and Public Health's kind of look, potentially we may be able to find a way forward. That's still pending, but it is actively being looked at. I would look for something to come out on this probably in the next week or so.
All right, so more to follow. Again, promotion testing and those types of things, that's an Air Force-wide issue that we're all facing and we're all navigating, and it'll come from higher headquarters down, and we will implement according to the guidelines set by Colonel Bishop and keeping our safety in mind.
Sure.
Next question was about gardening. Sabrina Finkley says, we really need the community garden open up. Is there a way this can happen?
It's an excellent question that I do not have an answer to.
Maybe a Corvius thing?
I would ask with Corvius, but I also made a note because this is something I want to look into. I like the thought of a community garden. I'll definitely check on that.
All right, so maybe we can have some. What kind of produce grows up here? I'm not sure.
Not much.
All right, next question that we have is it's about deers. So I guess there's some people whose ID, or from Mary Gertman, will we be able to get new IDs soon? My husband's rank changed, so our IDs aren't reflecting the correct info. Any information on that?
That is a very good question. That's a good question to ask the Deers office. I would call them and ask them.
Yep, and if this is Colonel Bishop, you can actually call the Deers office at 377-2276, and you can make appointments with them.
Okay, so the information is in the command directive about deers. Please make sure that you're following the rules and making an appointment so that we're not breaking existing health guidelines. Next question that we have is about, I'm sorry, there's a lot of activity going on, and so it's pushing a lot of the questions down before I can get to it. Has the state of Alaska lifted the no travel between boroughs? What mandates should we be aware of when traveling, say, to Anchorage, if we can go there?
So what I would recommend that you do is the state is updating their health mandates repeatedly, and I would encourage you to go to this, state of Alaska. You can even just Google state of Alaska health mandates. That's the best source of information, because whatever information you get, from me may not be pertinent a week from now. So those changes are in place. I will say, in general, if you go look at our command directives, which align generally with the state environment, that you can travel, especially if you're trying to get out and go out and see Alaska into the wilderness. So our local area has been defined as the state of Alaska. So that means if you're on local leave, you can go out and go out hunting or fishing, and if you're on a pass, you can do that as well. One of the things I do ask that you do is, just like before you go on any trip, contact your supervisor, have a conversation so they know where you're going and what this what the come out plan is if they don't hear from you, where we can reach out, because that applies in Alaska, coronavirus or no coronavirus. Before you go out, you need to make sure that your supervisor knows what your plan is, and then how to reach you if something comes up. Because again, we're not just battling coronavirus, but we're also operating and continuing our mission, and we need to be able to get a hold of our service members and their families, need be. So.
All right. So you mentioned hunting and fishing. What are the rules for getting one of those permits or passes on base, and can people fish on the installation?
So that's an excellent question. The Natural Resources Office is the first stop for something like that. And I believe that they are opening back up today, I believe. But it would be worth a call to them or a check to see if they are open, and that would definitely be the first stop for any fishing or hunting on base.
Okay. Another question that we have is about the pool. I suspect it's going to be closed. I think it's been addressed in a command directive, but since it's being asked here, any chances of the pool opening up?
Yeah, the pool's closed. That's one of the things that we're looking at with our COVID recovery team, and when it opens, we'll issue that guidance to the command directive.
Well, so unfortunately you can't do a lap swim, but maybe you can run laps around the base or housing or the track. Is the outdoor track open, sir?
Yes, outdoor tracks.
Outdoor track is open. It's beautiful. Get some vitamin D out there from the sun. It's shining, I think, into past midnight now that the sun is still out. So take advantage of the weather and just the environment that we have here. So, Chief, next question, I believe this is fitting for you. Is the base providing virtual professional enhancement seminars or other similar courses during this time?
Yes, that's an excellent question. So through the group, Eielson Connect is one of the local groups that's been doing a lot of outreach. Hopefully those of you in Facebook land have kind of seen this group around. If not, you can do a simple search on your browser in Facebook for Eielson Connect, and it should pop up. What it is we have a lot of local people, like people on the base that are just putting on something that interests them. So it isn't the typical, hey, professional development like that we may always think professional development is. What it is an opportunity for people to provide kind of a seminar on anything that interests them. For example, I'm going to be teaching one tomorrow on workplace culture because that's a topic that's interesting to me. But we have people that instruct cooking classes, which are wildly successful. We have people that just talk about subjects and ideas that are near and dear to them and provide a way to get that info out to the community. So with that, what I would say is if that's something that you may be interested in or something that you may have been thinking about, not only kind of connecting and getting that information from local people that you may know via platforms such as Zoom or Facebook Live, But it's also an opportunity for growth if that's something you've thought about. Hey, I don't know if I could do this, but maybe this is something that I would like to try. And it's a low threat, low risk way to say you wanted to talk about anything, something you're passionate about. You can simply go to Eielson Connect and send them a message, and they'll set you up with a time slot and some advertising. It's an awesome opportunity to kind of put on it can be professional development, it can be anything. So thank you. That's an awesome question.
Wow, yeah. I don't know. I personally wasn't aware of this, and shame on me for not knowing that. But it sounds like Eielson's doing our own little virtual, like, group meetings, virtual university. I would say we should do that, Iceman University or something like that, talking about hobbies and all that. So you mentioned that people are teaching the things that are near and dear. Did you mention how can they set up? They just email the managers of the page?
Yeah, there are multiple ways. Probably the best way, if you know Master Sergeant Chris Brown, you can shoot him an email or reach out to him.
He's the ALS Commandant?
He's the ALS Commandant. If you don't know him, that's fine. You can simply go to Eielson Connect and click the message button and just give the page a message, and in that message just kind of type what you would like to do. You can also reach out directly to me on Global, and I'll connect you with the right people.
Okay.
With that, though, something else we're currently looking at is potentially an Eielson Connect app down the road. Still kind of in the works, but kind of rolling that over and making it more mobile. So, more to come.
All right, this is interesting. I mean, last week I think we spoke about how in times of need and, I don't mean to use such a sad word, but desperation, that's when creativity kind of emerges. And this is certainly a prime example of the base kind of thinking on its feet, not letting the obstacles of social distancing get in the way of social connection and learning and finding ways to enhance our professional and personal lives. So yeah, shout out to the Eielson Connect team. Another resource, Chief Greist chimed in online. He says so Air Force Quarantine University is also an excellent resource for professional development during this time. Check that out if you have time. We all have time now. If you're in need of some mental stimulation. So
the other resource I wanted to put out there is the Community Leadership Academy put on by Next Jump. That is rolling every Thursday, and it is growing every Thursday. And there's all kinds of talent that come in to teach classes. They use Zoom as a platform. They have a child track. They have an adult track. They have a lot of good content there as well. You can find out more about that through Eielson Connect as well.
Hidden resources. Another question from Samantha Casey. Any info about the library opening up? Speaking of learning.
Yeah, so the library is one of the things that we're looking at with that recovery working group. So one of the COAs they're looking at, or courses of action, is maybe they just open it up for checking out and not staying there, not having the tables open. But again, that's one of the things that we're assessing what's the risk, and then how can we provide services in a safe manner to our airmen and their families and our community as a whole.
All right. It's a lot of information to unpack from this segment, so we're going to give you guys a break to process it all. Again, you're listening to the 354th Fighter Wings live virtual town hall. We'll be back.
There are several practical measures you can take to protect yourself from the new coronavirus. One of the most important is regular, safe, and effective hand hygiene, using soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub. Here are the steps recommended by WHO to follow. You too can have safe and clean hands anywhere. Now I'm calling on the world to take the WHO Safe Hands Challenge to be ready for coronavirus.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Brooks with the CDC. You've probably read some recent reports about how long COVID-19 can last in the air or on surfaces. A recent study by NIH and CDC suggested that COVID can persist in the air and on surfaces for hours up to even days. Now, this was a study performed in a laboratory setting, but we don't yet know how that translates to the real world, where things are often very different. These studies are important. We're going to continue doing them, and as we learn more information about what this means to you in your home, we'll keep you informed. Let me remind you, though, how COVID-19 is transmitted. COVID-19 is transmitted primarily through respiratory droplets. That means particles that come out into the air and then settle relatively quickly. This is different than diseases like measles or tuberculosis, that when they get into the air, they can float there for a very long time. What can you do to protect yourself against COVID-19 in your home? Using disinfectants. Sure, COVID-19 comes out, it may fall onto a surface, and it could be there for a couple of hours. But the minute you use disinfectant, it's killed. Let's work together to keep ourselves healthy, our families healthy, and our communities healthy. If you want more information about COVID-19, go to www.cdc.gov/COVID-19.
All right, and we're back. Thanks for tuning in. You are listening to our live digital town hall. I am Tech Sergeant Quintanilla from the Eielson Public Affairs Office, and I have Colonel Bishop and Chief Master Sergeant Hansen in the room, giving us the latest updates about COVID-19 and answering questions pulled from Facebook. Now, speaking of Facebook, I was there at the gate on Friday night taking the photos, and it's on our Facebook page. And there was something going on at the gate. Sir, do you mind, Chief,
Sure.
explaining that to the group?
So one of the challenges we have right now, and some may call it kind of an opportunity, is looking for ways to uphold good order and discipline and kind of keep things the way they should be while being mindful of COVID and following the risk mitigation measures with COVID. So one of the things we did is that the wing commander ordered an Operation Nighthawk, which, for those of you that don't know, essentially first sergeants go out to the gate and stop a certain amount of drivers that come in, and they go provide a urine sample to test for illegal drugs. So the reason we do that is the whole good order and discipline piece, which is also a big threat to readiness and to the mission. So big shout out to the first sergeants and to DDR and to all the folks involved in that. And it went really well. Mitigation for COVID was followed. People were masked, sanitizing, and that whole process went very well. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, so that was my call, that was my direction, and a huge thanks to the first sergeants, the drug demand reduction team, DDR, for putting that in place. And yeah, that's one of the things that the DDR program is going to be up and running. That's just, like the chief said, one of the elements, one of the tools that we have in order to ensure good order and discipline. So thank you for everyone that participates in this program, whether they're helping put it on or you get that letter. I've gotten that letter as well. So it just I appreciate your understanding of the importance of accountability as we have a charge to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. The good order discipline is an element of how we get after that. And again, that falls into our priorities. That's how we take care of our airmen families. That's how we get after the mission and support our community as a whole.
All right, kind of stepped on what I was going to say, but being good airmen and abiding by the rules set by the Air Force and the standards, it's not easy. And in times like this, people are we're all just trying to deal. But as an airman, it is a duty, is a responsibility to remain ready and to uphold the priorities set before us by our commanding officers. So this is completely in line. There's no one's out to get anybody. If you were one of those people stopped, we understand that it's inconvenient, but it still has to happen. And we appreciate you participating and hopefully not getting too angry at the system instead of at the process. Another thing that we noticed is that there's some people helping us at the commissary. Chief, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes. So first of all, a big shout out to Master Sergeant Myers, Master Sergeant Leonardi, and the commissary staff and all the volunteers that have stepped up to bring us a curbside pickup program at the commissary. The program went live last Thursday. They've been getting a few orders in per day, and what it is you have the ability to email in an order form. And I don't have the email address on me, but it is on the Eielson Facebook page near the top, the release about the commissary pickup service. So you're able to email in an order form with the items that you need from the commissary. And we have volunteers at the commissary that will collect those items for you and bring them out to your car at a prescribed time. I believe Colonel Bishop actually tested the service out.
Yeah, so I'll confess, I don't like grocery shopping, but I do it a lot because it's a great way to help my wife Erin and the kids. So this is like a dream come true for me personally. I think it's a great service. So I did use it yesterday. Huge thanks to the Iceman Spark team, our volunteers, our commissary. This is innovation in action. Because it's a way for us to really combat COVID, minimize traffic through the commissary, and it's also just really convenient. Mm-hmm. So I had a great experience. They didn't have jalapenos, so I got a text yesterday from the volunteer who was awesome. He's like, hey, "There's no jalapenos. Do you want anything else?" So I encourage you to use the service. And really, it's a win across multiple categories because it helps us battle coronavirus, and then just also helps us take care of our airmen families. So,
and I'll jump in and say, speaking of battling coronavirus, like we need more volunteers to help out with this. So if you are looking for a way that you can maybe help jump into the action and help us combat coronavirus. One of the ways to do that is to volunteer at the commissary for this program. You don't have to be a service member. You can be a dependent. It doesn't matter. But the information to volunteer is also in the post on the Eielson Facebook page. There's a link that you can click, and you can see a schedule, and you can kind of jump in wherever you want to on that schedule. And it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it's great because I know there's people out there. Maybe your spouse is deployed, or in Korea, and you got young kids at home. This is just a way to kind of prevent having to drag the whole team into the commissary. So
we're definitely coming together as a community. I think that this volunteer-based service is just a prime example of that. And if you're ever kind of griping about how we don't have certain things up here in Alaska, the Eielson commissary is bringing us into the 21st century, and now you have services that you might have enjoyed at a previous installation or city available to you. So people will actually go and pick out your groceries for you and take them to your car, and it's all for free, right? So please take advantage of it, and just this is just one way that the community can come together and help out in any little way possible. So yeah, it's out there for you. Now we're coming up on the end here, and I believe Colonel Bishop has some last words, or any last words for the group?
Real quick, so when we look at opportunities and we look at ways to innovate during COVID, I kind of wanted to throw a shout out to Lonnie Leon Guerrero and the rest of the judges on the Eielson Kid Got Talent digital talent show. If y'all haven't seen that, it's on Facebook. You can type it into the search bar. It's Eielson Kid Got Talent. We had a lot of entries across the base. We have a lot of talented kids out there. Thank you, judges, everyone that jumped in to judge the talent show, and also thank you everyone that donated gifts. It was an amazing event. I was surprised by the amount of people that kind of jumped in to participate, and by the amount of people that kind of pitched in gifts and that sort of thing. So once again, shout out to everyone for making that happen. That was awesome. I think that's it for me.
Okay.
Bishop?
Yeah, so just to dovetail into the Chief's remarks, there's a lot of opportunity here. And again, this is a very dynamic and unprecedented times. And whenever there's big change going on, it's an opportunity to implement change in order to innovate and think differently. So again, thank you for everyone that chipped in to make the Kids Got Talent, Eielson Kids Got Talent, event happen. It was awesome watching some of those videos, and really we have some amazing talent. I knew that, but it was great seeing it in action across all our families. So well done there. And again, like the Chief mentioned earlier in this kind of broadcast, there's lots of opportunities to engage through the virtual space in order to better yourself and develop your skill set. So look at this as an opportunity for growth, because a lot of us have the bandwidth, whether we're sitting in a quarantine or maybe not able to go on to work. Continue to look for those opportunities to better yourself, better your family, and better your teammates. Again, this is a unique environment to be able to embrace that growth. It's also a unique environment to embrace our duty. I will kind of reiterate that up front, my assessment is we're doing a fantastic job combating coronavirus as a community. So, and then that really is just a reflection of us all doing our duty, because this is something the Chief and I can't fix at our level. This is something that this war can only be waged down by everyone at the individual level doing their part. So again, thanks for embracing social distancing. Thanks for wearing the mask. Thank you for practicing good hygiene, because those are the techniques and tactics and procedures that we have in order to battle this adversary. And then finally, really, this is a special kind of occasion for me just to say thanks and express gratitude. We mentioned the PCS season is upon us earlier in this broadcast. And for me, I'm on the leading edge of that personally. So I have orders to report to the Pentagon this month. So the Air Force told me that it's time for me to move, and time for me to move out. So I'm actually driving away from Eielson Air Force Base on the 16th of May. So this will be my last virtual town hall.
Oh, no.
So this is kind of a special moment for me because I've really enjoyed having these conversations. Just personally, being able to hear what is on your mind and be able to, incorporate that information, hopefully answer those questions, but also, it helps Chief and I and the rest of the wing leadership team move forward and help us to communicate our decisions accurately, and also making sure we're taking into account all the factors going into that. But I will say it has been an honor of a lifetime to be part of the 354th Fighter Wing team. This is something I will always reflect and look at fondly, and the reason why it's been such an honor and privilege is because of the people that I've had the opportunity to work with each and every day. And it is amazing to see the fantastic achievements that we've made as a team, and also how we're continuing to pioneer the frontier up here in the interior of Alaska. I will say the future is bright for the 354th Fighter Wing and Eielson Air Force Base. We obviously have our new F-35 mission. We're obviously continuing to grow. We're also continuing to support the ANR mission and support our aggressor mission, support our red flag mission. All that is happening in spades, and it's amazing to see that happen. But also, there's fantastic leadership that is coming in behind me. So I think everyone is familiar with Colonel Anger. He's fleeting up to serve as the 354th Fighter Wing commander through the summer. He is one of the most capable and respected leaders that I know, and he's going to do a fantastic job leading the 354th Fighter Wing this summer. And then my permanent replacement is actually inbound. Colonel David Birkeland goes by the call sign Ajax. He's currently deployed right now on a 365, but he's going to be coming back transitioning to the F-35, and he'll be coming to Eielson to assume command of the 354th Fighter Wing. We expect probably sometime in August. So Colonel Birkeland is another exceptional leader. He is a true officer, a true leader, and a brilliant airman and leader. And he's also a very close personal friend. So I've known Ajax for years. We were actually pilot training roommates back in the day. So I'm happy to report that the 354th Fighter Wing is in good hands in terms of leadership inbound. So, but again, thank you all for your service, your sacrifice to the 354th Fighter Wing, to our Eielson community, and to the our Air Force as a whole. Again, it's been a true honor and privilege to serve with you.
Now that's a sad note to end on. I think Colonel Bishop, on behalf of the wing, hopefully, thank you for your sacrifice and your service and your leadership in uncertain times. COVID-19, every wing commander is dealing with something that they never thought they would have to deal with, and as someone who's kind of managing the pulse or looking at the pulse of the wing, I think that we're doing very well, and that is certainly you at the tip of the spear leading it. So thank you for all of that, and for your hard work and dedication to that, and also for being here every single Monday. The wing commander schedule is hard to get on, but he makes time for all of us, and we appreciate it. So on that note, thanks again to Colonel Bishop, Dr. Ramage, and Chief Hansen for being here, and of course, thank you to everyone who's tuning in. We hope you got some good information from today's show. As always, if you have more questions for us, please send them via the comment section. We'll continue to answer them even after the broadcast. And you've been listening to the 354th Fighter Wings Live Digital Town Hall. Until next time, take care and stay healthy.